Insulin resistance. If you've heard that term, you probably already know what it means. That your body has produced too much insulin for too long. It's a silent nightmare that affects millions. But what if I told you that you can get rid of this nightmare for good? In this video, I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that. Insulin, that hormone that insulates and manages energy, is absolutely necessary for life. The problem is that our modern, privileged lives, full of abundant food, make it very, very easy to produce too much insulin. The good news is that we can control this production. There are three main factors about your food that influence how much insulin you produce. And they are the type of food you eat, the size, and I'm not talking about the portion size, but something much more specific, and the time you eat. We're going to break down each of these three factors, starting right now. Okay, let's get to the first factor, the type of food. And here's the big secret that many people don't know. Literally, every single piece of food you swallow stimulates insulin. Yes, that's a fact. If you stop eating completely, you don't produce insulin. But before you decide to go on a hunger strike, there's a much smarter way to do this. Think of your food in three simple categories: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Of these three, the type of food that squeezes the most insulin out of your pancreas is carbohydrates. Yes, carbohydrates cause the fastest and most robust production of insulin. In second place, we have protein. It also stimulates insulin, but the release is slower and the peak isn't as high as with carbs. Lastly, fat. When you ingest fat, your insulin rise is the slowest and the least abundant of all. But the insulin peak isn't the whole story. The most important part is, how long does it take to return to normal? In scientific studies measuring healthy people, it took insulin 4 to 6 hours to return to baseline. Now pay close attention to this. Patients with insulin resistance take 3 to 4 times longer than that. That means a single meal can keep your insulin elevated for 12, 18, or even 24 hours. So if your goal is to produce less insulin, the logic is clear. Stop eating carbohydrates. Eat a moderate or sparse amount of protein, and base your diet mainly on fat. If that sounds familiar, it's because that's the definition of the keto diet. Let's move on to the second factor, which is the size of your food. And I want to be very clear. I'm not talking about your portion size. I'm talking about the size of the particles inside your food. Basically, we're talking about ground, crushed, or pulverized foods. Here's the danger. If you grind up your carbohydrates, proteins, or fats, all of them stimulate insulin more aggressively. The charts that show insulin spikes, mentioned in Factor 1, were made using powdered carbs, powdered protein, and powdered fat, and that was in healthy patients. When you pulverize your carbohydrates, you get the greatest possible production of insulin. What's a pulverized carb? Think flour, cornbread, sugar, especially powdered sugar. Now, if you already have insulin resistance, your body is already overproducing this hormone. And that's why those protein shakes aren't doing you any favors. This shocks a lot of people. If you crush or grind your protein into a powder and then blend it into a shake, you will stimulate your insulin as much as a handful of carbs. And the same goes for fats. You see those foods made with coconut flour or almond flour. The label says low carb, high fat, high protein. But guess what? Your body will still produce insulin in response to these pulverized fats, and that insulin will stay high for hours. The solution here is simple, though not easy. Remove processed, powdered carbs from your menu. Chew your protein. Chew your fat. You simply cannot chew your food into the tiny particles found in those processed foods. And now the third factor, the time you eat. This is directly linked to our circadian rhythm. Our pineal gland detects the sunrise. This is hardwired into our existence. And here's the dirty trick your body plays on you. The sunrise signals the body to release stored glucose. Your circadian rhythm causes a glucose spike every morning to give the body fuel for the first moments of the day. If you have insulin resistance, you top the charts on this spike. You, along with diabetics, produce the highest morning blood sugars. This glucose spike squeezes your pancreas, forcing it to release insulin. And you haven't even swallowed a single bite of food yet. It's a low blow if you're trying to reverse things. It's true, you can't get away from that morning insulin rise. It's linked to the sunrise. But what you can control is the time you add more food on top of it. Patients with insulin resistance find incredible success with ingesting food only in the mornings. I know this can be very difficult, so start with this rule. eat while the sun is up. If you get home at night and the sun has already set, it's too late to eat. Why eating at night is bad. Swallowing food at that hour keeps your insulin and glucose high all night long. This makes the next morning spike even worse. That is exactly where this cycle perpetuates and the problem becomes a nightmare. It is medically recommended to protect the dark hours from food. Leave time for your body to recover. Your internal timer restarts at sunrise. The more empty hours with no food swallowed between your last bite and the next day's sunrise, the better my patient's results are. The solution is restrict your eating, pulling all of your calories into the daylight hours. And if you want an advanced technique, keep sliding your eating window as close to sunrise as possible. So, if you are really serious about reversing insulin resistance, the goal is to stop producing so much insulin. Let's recap the 3-step plan we discussed today. The type: change the type of food you eat. Eat mostly fat, with only a little bit of protein, and eliminate carbohydrates. The size: pay attention to the particle size. Eat whole foods. Remove processed, ground, and powdered foods. This includes protein shakes and low-carb flours. Chew your food. The time: control the time you eat. Slide your calories as close to sunrise as possible and protect the dark hours. Do and eat after the sun goes down. If this video helped you understand how to fight insulin resistance, please do 2 things to help me and to help more people see this content. First, click the like button below. And second, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more tips like this. Thanks for watching.